Well, this morning I am going to kind of get into something I think this week, and I'm still talking about the things that I was talking about last time, where we were addressing the importance of your transitions and how you're transitioning and making sure that when you're going from where you were to where you believe that you've been called to be, because all of us are in a place of transition, whether you realize it or not. When you go back on your job full time, when you go back to your church full time, when you go back wherever it is that you're going back to, we are not going back the way that we left. The world around us has shifted. And it's important that everybody realizes that, okay, in this season, while things are kind of shut down, I need to be building me, doing all that I can to make myself better, thinking about ways to improve how you talk, how you write, how you engage with people, how you think about life, what your worldview is, all of the things that make you uniquely you. How can you make you better? Because we're transitioning, and in every place that you transition from, it's really important that you be about a mission that makes you the best that you can be. And so that's why we come together every morning on Fresh Baked Manna Live, is because we want to give you the tools to be empowered to be the best version of you that you can be, because God has a plan for your life, and it's a marvelous plan. But how about He gives us the plan, but He leaves it up to us to ensure that we do all that we can to learn all we can, to improve ourselves where we can, just to make ourselves better. And so today, what I wanted to talk about is the fact that in order to get where you're trying to go, you're going to have to do it by faith. And something that's I was sharing with the people on the 6 a.m. prayer line this morning about, we're hearing this news about different ones that are in having sexual relationships outside of their marriages, and all of this moral failure is what they're calling it and whatnot. But it's important for you to know that every level, you know how they say every level there's a different devil. And that's the absolute truth. With every place that you find yourself stepping into, it's important for you to realize that you're going to be tempted, that there's going to come temptations. And we always think about the temptation to quit. And that's a real temptation. We think about the temptation to, to step into something before it's time. That's a real temptation. But what about the sexual temptations? What about the temptations to steal? What about the temptation to fabricate? What about the things that are going to come down your path that you didn't know were going to come, that's designed to change the entire course of your life? When we're teaching people in our Bible school, which, by the way, we're going to be starting our new Bible school session in September. If you're interested in getting trained for leadership and ministry, you want to join WBTI at any rate. But what about the gold, the money? What is your relationship like with money? The glory, what happens when you reach a particular pillar of fame and notoriety, when you got 100,000 people liking your pages and all of that kind of stuff and all these followers? What happens to you? So you got the gold, the money. How do you manage your money? If you don't manage your little checkbook right now, you can forget about managing money well when you get your business, when you get your ministry and all of that. But how do you manage what you currently have? So we talk about the gold. We talk about the glory. Do you walk in pride? What's going to happen to you? Then we talk about the girls or the guys, right? And then we talk about the grind. Those are the four things that you have to keep your mind on as you're progressing into the things that God has called you to do, and specifically thinking about the girls and the guys. All of us are going to be tempted to move into places that we have no business moving into. And, I say it like this, particularly for those who lecture or who are on a pulpit or a platform like that. You become the prize in the mind of a lot of people. There's sometimes you can be standing on the platform and you just, pouring your heart out. And there's somebody out in the audience who's watching you, looking at you, and they don't have the right intentions towards you. And so then what happens? The enemy will create an entire soap opera with you as the star, involved in things that you shouldn't be involved in. For what purpose? To trip you up, to stop you from getting where it is that you're supposed to be. And so it's really important, no matter what pillar of society you may find yourself in, to learn how to manage yourself no matter where you are. And let me say this, if you don't know how to handle yourself where you currently are, you can forget about handling yourself when the pressure gets on and when you get bigger and you get more notoriety and more fame. You can forget that. And so learning how to say no to yourself and to the desires and the opportunities that come that may not be good for you or healthy for you now is going to be critical for when you get to that next place that you're looking to be. See, these are things that we weren't told when we were in Bible school and seminary and different things like that, that there is going to come a time when every ounce of who you are is going to be tested. What do you do when nobody is watching? You know, I tell the story of, I was traveling one time with my pastors, and I was traveling to Albuquerque, New Mexico, and I was on a plane. And I was riding in first class as I was on this plane. And I may have shared this with you all before, but I was sitting next to a man from Japan. And he was a good looking man, very well put together. You know, he's in first class, I'm in first class, and we're talking. And we started this conversation talking about our families. You know, he showed me pictures of his family. I showed him pictures of my family. And before you knew it, while we were in this conversation, suddenly he's making an offer for me to meet him in Hawaii. And I'm taken aback because I'm thinking, now, how did this conversation go from me telling you about my husband, my children, my life, to you telling me about your wife, your children, your life, your business, to us rendezvousing in Hawaii? How did this happen? Now, here's the thing. This was a test for me. My husband wasn't with me. Nobody was traveling with me. Nobody saw me. Nobody would have known me. I didn't know anybody on the plane. But here's a test. What are you going to do, Melva? How are you going to respond? Are you going to take this man up on his proposition? What are you going to do? Nobody would have known. I could have created an entire life for myself outside of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and been rendezvousing with a Japanese man in Hawaii. Could have walked down the street holding his hand. Nobody would have known, but God would have known. And so here are the things. This is just a glimpse into some of the things that happen, because we're talking about going from one phase of life to the next phase of life. And remember, what was once the ceiling has now become the floor to a new dimension for you. That's elevation. You're elevating, you're rising in life, but can you handle it? Can you handle it? Because if you can't handle it, rest assured it's going to handle you. And so how you manage your life right now, in the temptations of life, in the opportunities that will come to you that may, they may be good opportunities, but they may not be the best opportunity for you. How are you going to manage? What are you going to do? See, because integrity and character is who you are when nobody is around you. Bishop Darrell Hines said that integrity is the agreement that you make with yourself. So that when you are someplace, when your wife is not there, when your husband is not there, when nobody knows who you are, and you still stay true to the commitment that you made of integrity to yourself. See, character is doing what's right, doing it right, when it's right, right? That's what character is. It's doing the right thing, doing it the right way, doing it when it's right. And so when is it right? When you are tempted to do things in a different way, but you stand the test of that temptation because you've made a covenant with yourself. See, if you don't make a covenant, yeah, we can make covenants with God all day long. But if you don't make a covenant with yourself, it'll be easy to violate your covenant with God. And so although we say, God is the Lord of my life, he's the head of my life, but you also have to make commitments to yourself. You have to learn how to tell yourself no. You don't need that. And I'm telling you, if you can't tell yourself no to a candy bar, you ain't going to tell yourself no to pornography. You're not going to tell yourself no to an affair. I'm trying to be careful with the words that I say. But if you don't learn how to say no to yourself to the small things, when the big things come, you're going to struggle to say no to those things. And so realizing that as you're moving in these various phases of life, it is going to require faith in two places, in God and in yourself. And then it's about making covenant and commitments to yourself that I'm going to walk a line. And I'm not going to violate the line that I chose. I'm going to put boundaries around my life. There are just some things that are going to be off limits to me. And as a married individual, other relationships are off limits to me. And if you're an unmarried, whatever those boundaries are that you set in your life, set them and then live by them, because the temptation is going to come, and it's going to come in various forms. See, the enemy, there's certain things that the enemy would never tempt me with. I'm not tempted to go to Red Lobster and eat all the shrimp and eat all the fish. I'm not tempted to go and gorge out on seafood. I don't like seafood. I don't like the way it smells. It's just me. You know, some of y'all might be like, what? No, I don't like seafood. And so I'm not tempted by that. But there are things that I am tempted by, and realize it, or that I can be tempted by. But realizing that I put boundaries around my life, I have to do this because I am the keeper and the maintainer of my life. And so, yes, I'm saved. Yes, I love God. Yes, I'm filled with his spirit. But yes, I also have a husband. But just because I have a husband and because I love God and because I'm filled with his spirit, it doesn't mean that I don't like to look at a good looking man. I like good looking men just like the best of them. I'm not dead. I'm not blind. But if I don't temper that, if I don't do what I need to do, then I'll find myself wandering off, looking at things that looking at people I have no business looking at, paying attention to things I have no business looking at. And before you know it, I'll find myself these little compromises. You know, the word says it's the little foxes that will spoil the vine of your life. And so think about this. You got little things that you do, little habits that, I'm not hurting anybody. Nobody is involved. I'm just looking at their Facebook page. I'm just looking at their Twitter page. I'm just, going out and looking for old boyfriends and old girlfriends and all of that kind of stuff. Those are the little foxes that are designed to spoil the vine of your life. And as I was sharing the other day, what you have to realize is that every temptation that comes to you, every opportunity, every bad opportunity that comes in the form or the shape of a good opportunity, it has one destination in mind, and that's your destruction. Now, as it's taking you on this road, to destruction, it's going to make the road, you're going to go down beautiful paths. That's why the Bible says the pleasure of sin is a season. It's a season, but it is pleasurable. And so it's important for us to realize that, temptation is going to drive you on the most beautiful paths. It's going to feel good. It's going to look good. It's going to smell good. It's going to taste good. Everything, all of your senses are going to engage and love the opportunity or be engulfed by whatever it is that you're tempted by, or it's not a real temptation. See, it's only a real temptation when you want to do it. And when you really want to do it, whatever it might be. And so the temptation comes, and it comes in a beautiful form. It's going to be a beautiful girl. It's going to be everything that you would love to have and engage in. That's the thing that draws you in. And so as you're driving down this road of temptation, everything is going to be, they're going to take the scenic route. Temptation is going to take the scenic route. But the destination is going to be death and decay in your life. You're going to compromise something. It's going to cost you something if you get on this road of temptation. And that the powerful thing about this is that even though we're tempted, we have to remember that the Bible says that Jesus was tempted in all points like we would be tempted. And so what does that mean? It means that no matter what temptation you or I will face, he's already given us the victory to be able to overcome it. So you have the victory to overcome it. Even when you yield to the temptation, you already have the victory to overcome it. You have the power, the enablement to overcome it. The question becomes, what are you going to do when the pressure comes on you? When that little monkey is sitting on your back telling you, do it, engage, get involved, smoke it, drink it, Touch her, touch him, get involved, go there, look at that, look at it hard, look at it long, all those temptations, and the more you entertain it, the stronger that monkey's voice becomes. Do it, do it, do it. Get involved in it. What am I talking about? I'm talking about the transitions of life. And I'm talking about you being the best version of you that you can be. But you got to realize that in being the best version that you can be, there is going to come a test. And it's going to come in the form of something beautiful that you're going to want to get involved in. But it has one mission, and that's to pull you out of God's plan for your life. The devil doesn't want to see you fulfill God's plan. And so what will he do? If he can't get you to do one thing, he'll try to get you to do something else. And so temptations come and they're going to be real. And you have to make up in your mind and in your heart right now, there are certain things that I am not going to do. And then when the temptation comes to do it, then you're going to have to talk to yourself. And I mean, sometimes you have to talk to yourself for days. I told you all the story about, one time I struggled to get involved with some things that I shouldn't have gotten involved in, namely pornography. And I never had a problem with pornography. And I'm not saying that to do like this. I'm just saying it just wasn't my thing. I had some other things, having sex outside of marriage, that was my thing. But getting involved with pornography, that really wasn't my thing. And so, I grew to a certain place in the ministry, and I'm serving my pastors. I'm doing well in the ministry. I'm abounding. Doors are opening for me. And then here comes these temptations. Here comes these temptations. And what were they designed to do? I'll share this specific story that I was traveling another time with my pastors, and I was staying in a hotel room next to the room where my pastors were in. And so I'm in a room by myself. I was married, but my husband wasn't with me. I got in the room. We did ministry, had been doing ministry all day, came back to the room. I'm tired. And I'm thinking, I'm going to watch a little TV, watch the news, whatever, and then I'm going to go to sleep. Well, while I'm watching the news, the thought comes to me. When I turn on the TV, then the advertisement for XXX porn comes up. Now, here I am, a woman in the ministry, serving in the ministry, got people in ministry under my leadership. But here I am, I'm in this hotel room. I got this remote control. My pastor's in the room next door. I'm in this room by myself. My husband is not with me. I'm by myself. I got an opportunity. I'm looking, and the advertisement was saying, click on it. And then a little caption said, the movie that you watch will not show up on your bill. And so now what's happening? That monkey has now showed up on my shoulder. And I got an opportunity to engage. Click it. And so I'm laying in the bed and I'm struggling with whether or not I should watch this pornography. Watch it. Nobody will know. And I'm talking, this happened years ago, almost 25 years ago. But I'm in this room and this voice is on my shoulder telling me, click it. Just, it's there. Click it. You can do it. Watch it. Nobody will know. It says it right there that it's not going to show up on the screen. Now what's happening? The commitment of integrity that I made to myself is being challenged. I'm being tempted. Now I've got a choice. I can lay here and I can veg on all the pornography I want to. I got a choice. And what did I do? I turned it off and threw the remote control down. But that voice continued to talk to me. So I laid down, turned the light out. I'm like, I'm going to sleep. I will not watch. I'm laying there. Can't go to sleep. Why? Because now this image is in my mind. And because this image is in my mind, now the enemy is talking to me. So now my flesh, the devil, are now ganging up on me, telling me, grab the remote and watch it. This went on for me until about 2:00 in the morning. I did not click. Now, I can say that I ain't got nothing to hide. It's so many years ago. I didn't click. But when I tell you I fought with it, I struggled. And what in that moment was happening to me was God was giving me a whole new appreciation for people who struggle with pornography. I'm like, if this is what it's like to go through this. And so, I ended up going to sleep, got up the next morning. We had ministry early the next morning, but I'm dead dog tired. Why? Because I've been fighting the fight all night. I've been fighting the fight, telling myself, you're not going to engage. So we go, we do ministry. It's Saturday. We finish with our sessions at about 3 o'clock. The minute we started packing up, here comes that voice. You can go back to the room and watch that pornography now. You can go back to, and so all the way riding back from the church to the hotel, the devil is talking to me. My flesh is talking to me. And the desire, because in that moment I'm listening. Instead of saying, I cast these thoughts down in the name of, instead of me taking authority over my thoughts, I'm entertaining the thoughts. And what's happening? The desire in me is beginning to get stronger. And it's not in my spirit. It's in my mind and it's in my body. That these two things are working together, because my spirit, God lives in my spirit. And so, but it's in my mind, and that stronghold is trying to get a hold of my mind. It's not a stronghold yet, but the more I think about it, the more, the desire for that thing is beginning, it's moving. So I went to the hotel, got in the hotel, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm not going to do it. So I got up, went downstairs to get something to eat. I'm trying to think of everything that I can so that I don't engage. Long story short, I didn't do it. But when I tell you that I fought with everything in me not to click and watch what I could, because what? Integrity is you doing what you made a commitment to do to God and to yourself when nobody is watching. And you are going to be tempted to engage in ways that will cost you everything. I could have done that. I could have watched pornography, but what would have happened? It would have sowed a seed in my life. Just that one engagement, one watching, and all of that garbage coming into my soul, coming into my mind would have planted a seed. And where is it looking to go? It's looking to get into my heart and in my mind so that it can create a stronghold to get me addicted. That's the end goal. That's the goal. And the Bible says, if I sow to my flesh, I'm going to reap corruption. Nothing good is going to come out of it. Had I engaged, nothing good would have come out of it, where you would have been physically satisfied or whatever for that moment. But the long-term impact that would have had in my life could have brought devastation to my marriage, could have brought devastation to my mind, because one little thing is going to lead to something else. Before you know it, that one little seed could have opened the door to an adulterous lifestyle for me. What am I saying? I'm saying, we used to have this saying, you better check yourself before you wreck yourself. And that's absolutely the truth, especially for those of you who know that you're called to do some significant things in life, whether it's in business, whether it's in the ministry, and you believe, and you've accepted Jesus as the Lord and Savior of your life, and you've positioned yourself for him to lord your life. You're going to have to get your flesh in check. Because we can talk about all of this. Yes, God has called you. Yes, God has graced you. Yes, God has gifted you. But God has also said, be holy because I'm holy. And so he's also laid out a mandate for your life, that there is a particular way that you are to live. And so you got to get a hold of yourself, because if you don't get a hold of yourself now, in these smaller days, when you get on the larger platform and you can have whatever you want, it's going to be easier for you to begin to engage in things that you have no business engaging in. It is the little foxes spoiling the vine of our lives. And so deal with the little things when they're in small seed. It's easy to plant a seed and then get in there and get a seed up. It's easier to do that than it is to plant a seed and then you got a whole field, cornfield full of corn to deal with that. And so what you want to do is deal with things when they come to you in the seed form. Kenneth Hagin used to make this statement. You can't stop a bird from flying over your head, but you can stop him from building a nest in it. You can't stop wrong thoughts from coming to your head, but you can stop them from building a nest in your life. Let's do what we've been called to do. This is Fresh Baked Manna Live. This is serious conversation today. I hope I've said something to help you, because a lot of you, his hand is on your life. And because his hand is on your life, there are things that he's calling you to do in places that you're going to be, that if you don't deal with yourself now, you're going to end up on a spiritual junk heap, and you're not going to fulfill the plan and the call of God for your life if you don't deal with these things now. And so what is my encouragement to you? Deal with the little things that you're dealing with while they're in seed form, so that when you get to your plateau, to that place, because all of us, I'm believing that every person that engages with us, that God's hand is on your life and he's called you to do great things, and you're going to move yourself out into those great things, but you're going to move out in excellence. For too long, For too long, there's been a blotch on the body of Christ because the world has looked at the church and expected the church to live by a higher standard, those in the church to live by a higher standard. And we can consistently have let the world down. They're looking at us saying, you can't keep your pants up. How you going to tell me to keep my pants up? You can't keep your skirt down. How you going to tell me to keep mine down? And so what we have to do is make a decision that we are going to live lives of holiness by any means necessary, whatever it takes. To do what God has called us to do, we have to do it because there is a new generation of believers that are coming on the horizon, and compromise is not our name. Compromise is not a part of who we are. We are going to do what God has called us to do, and we're going to do it in excellence, and we're going to position ourselves so that we can impact more lives on a greater scale than we ever have. And then this gospel of the kingdom is going to be preached throughout the nations, and then the end is going to come. We will be the church without spot, wrinkle, blemish, or any such thing, just like Jesus said. God bless you. I love you all. Hope I said something that's encouraged you or increased you. Serious conversation, necessary conversation. Love you. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.